January 21st. The starting line at Winnipeg. Temperature, 21 degrees below zero. Winds are 20 to 25 miles an hour. The wind factor is approaching 70 below zero. 76 drivers and machines massed at Winnipeg. Only 22 will complete the awesome, agonizing journey to St. Paul. From the instant the starting flag drops, this 500-mile cross-country race becomes a struggle for survival. Drivers from across the United States and Canada are aboard John Deere 340S machines, making it the most popular snowmobile in the race. The 340S earned their confidence as it stood up to constant pounding at speeds of more than 80 miles an hour over the roughest terrain in the 10-year history of the International 500. The first leg of the race stretches from Winnipeg to East Grand Forks, Minnesota, a distance of 165 miles. It was the shortest leg of the three-day race, but the coldest. The start of the race was delayed for more than an hour because of blizzard conditions near the Canadian border that reduced visibility to near zero. East Grand Forks in 6 hours to qualify for the second day's running. Number 349, Carol Thiessen of East Moline, Illinois, one of two women in the race, made it to East Grand Forks despite an injured hand, but not in time to qualify for the second day. At the Canadian-U.S. border, drivers made a brief stop and were waved on. They still had 100 miles to go to reach East Grand Forks. An earlier blizzard and sub-zero temperatures had frozen the snow into concrete-like drifts. Driving in ditches got rougher. This wrecked machine was hauled off the trail to avoid an accident. This spectacular crash left the driver shaken, but uninjured. Of Crookston, Minnesota, number 51, is among the leaders as the machines approach East Grand Forks. Cormican is a two-time winner of the International 500, winning back-to-back races in 1968 and 1969.
Strickland of Buffalo, Minnesota, pilots his 340S across the finish line at East Grand Forks in 3 hours, 25 minutes, 40 seconds, which puts him in 9th place. Dale Cormican drove his battered machine to the finish within 50 seconds of the leader, despite 2 crashes along the way. But he was among 16 of the day's leaders who were later disqualified for rule violations. Brian Nelson of Wilmar, Minnesota, drove his Spirit of Wilmar to the finish line in 3 hours, 26 minutes. Good for 10th place. Nelson was sponsored by Wilmar businessmen. John Carlson of Moline, Illinois, finishes in 16th place with a time of 3 hours, 30 minutes, 20 seconds. Roger Jansen of Crookston, Minnesota, followed Carlson across the line by only 34 seconds. Good for 18th place. Jim Eisenbach of Thunder Bay, Ontario, finishes in 25th place. Followed by Jim Dano of Nisswa, Minnesota, in 29th place. Bob Menney of Forest Lake, Minnesota, congratulates an exhausted competitor at the completion of the grueling day. Willie Ansew of Oak Bluff, Manitoba, crosses the line in 33rd position. 47-year-old Bill Ryman of Mansfield, South Dakota, finishes in 69th place, exactly 96 seconds ahead of his 22-year-old son, Stan. For some, the day ends in heartbreak. This driver's machine fails 100 yards from the finish. Harold McQueen of Manteno, Illinois, leaps to a spectacular finish. 236 racers finish in qualifying time. 129 are driving John Deere machines, led by Joel Herring of Bismarck, North Dakota, who's in 2nd place, just 4 minutes behind leader Bob Rezequis on a Polaris, who averaged 54 miles an hour. Machines qualifying for the second day are impounded, and mechanics, the unseen heroes of the race, are given only 2 hours to prepare the snowmobiles for the second day. Frostbitten, battered drivers who had hoped for better weather on the second day were disappointed. Sub-zero temperatures continued, and a 40-mile-an-hour wind whipped the snow, reducing visibility to 0. The race was delayed for more than an hour until the starter's flag dropped. The second leg stretches 207 miles from East Grand Forks to Alexandria. It's the longest, toughest day of the race. Snow in the ditches is rock hard, causing injury to drivers and tremendous damage to skis, tracks, and suspension. Poor visibility causes many drivers to get lost, like these two who miss a turn and head down the wrong side of the road. Roger Jansen, who started in 18th place, is rapidly moving up on the leaders. But number 22, Larry Bjorklund, who started in 9th position, was unable to complete this leg of the race. The long, treacherous trail began to take its toll early in the day, and before it was over, 199 of the 236 starters either failed to make it to Alexandria or got there too late to qualify for the last day. Bassett, number 217, arrives at a fuel stop. He has taken over the lead from first-day leader Bob Przekwitz, who has dropped out. John Carlson has moved up from 16th position and arrives at the pit stop only minutes behind the leaders. Picturesque and serene, deep ruts and bumps made the narrow, twisting trail hazardous. Some drivers lost the trail in the woods. Of Bellevue, Manitoba, guns his 340S in excess of 70 miles an hour. Several miles to the finish line were over snow-covered Lake Darling. Bert Bassett crosses the finish line with only one ski. He was suffering from a severely cut lip, which required 16 stitches to close. His total elapsed time for the 2 days was 8 hours, 52 minutes, 5 seconds. Ed Monsrud finishes in second place, 3 minutes behind Bassett, followed by Leroy Rust, who places third for the second day. John Carlson continues his assault on the leaders, driving his number 54 from 16th position at the start of the second leg to 4th place by the end of the day. Carlson has the fastest total time of any John Deere driver for the 2 days. 9 hours, 28 minutes, 40 seconds. Number 166, Ron Reimer of Steinbach, Manitoba, barrels his 340S from 31st place all the way up to finish 5th behind Carlson. Roger Jansen lets it all hang out and drives his number 52 from 18th to 10th position the second day. And young Brian Nelson maintains the pace with a 14th place finish. Willie Ansue relaxes a moment too soon and flips at the finish line, but not before he had moved into 16th position after starting the day back in 33rd. John Deere 340Ss continued to demonstrate remarkable durability over the machine-shattering course, qualifying 19 machines out of the total 37 for the second day. The weather finally takes a turn for the better as the remaining 37 drivers line up for the third and final leg to St. Paul, 180 miles away. John Carlson seems totally relaxed at the starting line just prior to the green flag. Roger Jansen has a last-minute conversation. Another sled that will cross the finish line at St. Paul. That's me, Jim Orr, from Davenport, Iowa. Once away from the start, Jansen starts to pour it on. At one point, a state patrolman timed Jansen's machine at a breathtaking 84 miles an hour. Roger Jansen's torrid pace brings him into the pit stop only seconds behind the leader for the day. A hurried check of his machine and he's on his way towards St. Paul. Brian Nelson, so close to being among the handful of finishers at St. Paul, did not finish the race. Thousands of enthusiastic race fans await the racers at the finish line on Lake Phelan in St. Paul. Headed for the finish line is Ed Monsrud, the first sled to cross the line and the winner of the race, with the fastest total time for the 3 days. Roger Jensen flies over the lake, the second machine across the line for the day, despite the fact he was lost for about 15 minutes.
Raj, congratulations.
Thank you. I had a little tough luck out there today. I was leading the race for a while, and the Polaris I was leading, no, excuse me, I'm getting my story a little mixed up. I was leading the race, he got ahead of me, and then I think he broke a belt, and I got ahead of him, and I no more got ahead of him, and the guy sent me off in the wrong direction, and I was lost for about 15 minutes, and I flagged a support helicopter down. He landed, and I asked him which way to go, so he said, "You follow me." So I followed him back to the course, and I figure I lost 15 to 20 minutes. Otherwise, I should have had a 15 to 20 minute being the first sled here.
Would that make you the winner, do you think?
It would have made me pretty darn close.
How do you think it is right now? You're second across the line.
I don't know. I would say I should be running in 5th place. I predicted that last night. Today, the trail was badly marked. The people were standing around the roadside and so bad you couldn't even see the stop signs. I was very disappointed when I got out in the lead and there was no signs left. I don't know who took them down, if it was kids that took them down, if it was some mad drivers last night that didn't make it in time that took them down, or if the sheriff didn't get out in time and put them up. But it was really heartbreaking.
Well, that's a shame. I think you did marvelously well just to get here like you did.
Well, I was trying to win that $10,000, and it's hard to do it when you're heading in the wrong direction.
That's a true story. Can I ask you about your sled? How do you like that, John Deere?
I've rode a lot of snowmobiles, and I like every snowmobile I rode, but she's the one I'd own if I ever had to buy one.
That's good.
She's the best sled out.
I heard you say a minute ago that it was knocking a little bit, Raj, is it?
It wasn't I'll tell you what it is. I got a high-speed sprocket in there, and she's got to make such a big turn that I think I've been jamming the brakes on, and I've been hitting the bump so hard that I think I broke some teeth out of my top sprocket. But as far as the motor, it's running just as good now as the minute I left the starting line in Winnipeg.
Well, you sure came across that line like gangbusters, Raj, and even if you don't take that first money, you got to get something for even competing in this thing. And I'd just like to ask you one question. You're from Crookston, Minnesota.
Yes.
And may I just ask you why you got into the race?
Well, I've started racing snowmobiles about, I've raced professionally for 8 years. And this Winter Carnival race is a good race to pick yourself up some money if you got a good machine. And with this John Deere, I had a pretty darn good chance.
Well, that's good. Raj, you're kind of shivering, and I don't blame you. Why don't you go and get warm, and we thank you very much for talking with us.
Okay.
John Carlson of Moline, Illinois, crosses the line in 3rd position.
You have any idea where you are as far as your placement is concerned in the race?
Oh, I think up around 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It's somewhere in that bracket. I hope I am, at least.
Tell me, what's it like out there? The first day, it was 20 below zero, and...
I think the first day was probably my best day. I think I threw my best time the first day. The second day was a day of survival. If a guy could survive and still keep a pretty good pace going, he'd do all right the second day. That's what I tried to do. I wish now I would have had just a little bit more energy to turn around just a little bit harder the second day. I probably could have won this race, but that's next year. Today...
What was so hard about the second day?
Oh, the drifts were just like concrete. The wind was blowing. Marking was poor. Just overall, general tough, hard cross-country racing.
How did your machine perform for you?
Didn't miss a lick the whole trip. There's 599 exact miles on it right now, and that she didn't miss a lick the whole trip. The second day, about the last 50 miles, I just was barely hanging on the handlebars. It hurt so bad.
What caused the greatest attrition? Was it the weather, or was it the trail, or what was it?
The trail. I didn't mind the weather a bit. I'm used to the weather. The trail was just real tough.
Did you have difficulty finding your way?
Yeah, I got lost twice today and 3 or 4 times the first day.
Are people moving flags, or why is that?
Oh, people are generally just sitting in their car not telling the racer which way to go. And so the racer follows the tracks. Well, it could be made from a snowmobile club or the guys out the night before, you know.
And this is Jim Orr, another John Deere driver in the St. Paul Winter Carnival Snowmobile Race, 1975. And he's standing here shivering. How was the weather on this last leg?
The last day was great. Yesterday was the worst, but today was like a Sunday drive compared to yesterday.
Why was yesterday so bad?
Oh, it was so long, and the drifts were so bad, and it was so rough, and most of it was in the ditches, and it was just really just physically punishing, you know. Today was not that bad. There's a lot of road running today. They had us marked up on the roads quite a few places.
Fourth prize, Roger Jansen. And Roger, in addition to your trophy, our check for $1,500. Congratulations.
On a John Deere with an elapsed time of 14 minutes, 9 minutes, 26 seconds, John Robert Carlson. Mr. Bell is handing Mr. Carlson a check for $2,000.
Bert Bassett accepts his trophy for second place. And winner Ed Monsrud collects his trophy. Of the 22 men and machines that survived the 552 miles to the checkered flag at St. Paul, 12 were John Deere 340S's.